Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in a Culture Warrior segment tonight. Some people, including me, were surprised that so many young folks took to the streets Sunday night after the death of Bin Laden. They gathered in front of the White House, in Times Square here in New York City, and at a baseball game celebrating the fact that Navy SEALs had shot Bin Laden in the head. Joining us now, the Culture Warriors, Margaret Hoover, and from Connecticut, Gretchen Carlson. Carlson, first of all, were you surprised to see the youngsters, as Ed Sullivan would say, young people, and why were they out there?
I was as surprised as you were, but I do think that it was inspiring to see patriotism like that amongst our young people. I thought in our PC society that that wasn't acceptable anymore, especially amongst the young. And why? I think partially because young people right now want good news. The economy's not great for them, but more importantly, keep in mind that most of these young people were in very impressionable ages when 9/11 happened, 13, 14, 15, and their view of the future of the world was totally different than what it was when you and I were growing up. We didn't have the war on terror when you and I were growing up, and I think to them this brought a sense of relief and about the fact that their futures may be more safe.
All right, so you think that because it was such a traumatic thing at a young age, it made an impression in the act. Now you, Hoover, were actually out amongst the crowd.
I was there at Ground Zero from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. on Sunday night.
Okay, were you surprised there were so many young people there?
At Ground Zero, I thought there'd be more firefighters, police officers, Port Authority officers, and victims of families, and there weren't. You know what? This is the millennial generation. The youngest were toddlers. Osama Bin Laden to them became the incarnate of evil, the monster under their bed. Literally, when I was researching my book, these millennial kids were saying they were afraid Osama Bin Laden was hiding in their shower or hiding under their bed because he was the monster in their sort of figment of their imagination as toddlers growing up. The older ones, Osama Bin Laden disrupted their sense of American invincibility. And so by him dying, by us Americans killing him, that returns that possibility, and it gives them faith that America will always triumph.
All right, so you both believe there was an underlying psychological reason why the young people went out there, and it had to do with what they absorbed at a young age that stayed with them. Okay. I hope, though, that the good and evil about this is part of the equation.
You know what I'm talking about? It absolutely is.
Look, we've always said here on The Factor, I think it's one of the reasons that so many people watch us and respect us, is that the United States is basically a noble nation. All right? The Navy SEALs are good, noble people. Bin Laden is an evil, or was, an evil force in the world. Good defeats evil. Because as you know, Carlson, that is being wiped out by our secular society. The left does not want to make judgments about good and evil anymore. We had a priest, an actual Catholic priest, Father Beck, here saying, you know what, we really can't make those kind of judgments. I hope the kids are doing that. Let Carlson go.
No, I'm going to just reiterate that that's why I was stunned, because of the PC society that we live in, to see young Americans embracing patriotism and the American flag. That was inspiring to me. That was hopeful to me about the next generation, and it made me feel incredibly good.
All right.
If you know anything about the millennial generation, they absolutely believe in good and evil. They are not moral relativists. They are not peace-loving.
The majority, you're saying.
No, this generation's sensibility gets good and evil.
All right, good.
This was like sort of the Harry Potter theme. Voldemort is dead.
I hope you're
That's what Neil House said, a generational specialist.
Okay, now the photos. Would you release them?
Absolutely.
You would. You heard me with Laura.
I heard you with Laura.
Say I would defer to the defense secretary.
I know that you would defer. Here's what I would say. I think the people who are arguing against it here in this country are thinking about this through the sensibility and the lens of sensitivities in the U.S. They are not thinking about the harsh realities in the Middle East and in Afghanistan and in Pakistan. And to see those pictures as gory as they are will send a very clear message about America's toughness.
Al Jazeera, who won the big Columbia Award, will say they're fake. What do you say? Release them or not? Carlson?
I'm indifferent on this, and Donald Rumsfeld, the former defense secretary, is also indifferent, so maybe I'm in good company with that.
You're indifferent on it.
I'm indifferent on it because here's why. The most important part of this story is that Osama bin Laden is dead. Case closed to me. Let's move on and continue our fight on the war on terror instead of parsing words about whether or not these photos should be released. And here's another thought. Having been in Egypt in the last 8 months, where I was in contact with a lot of moderate Muslims, they are on the fence about what they think about America. I'm not talking about the terrorists. I don't really give a rip about what they think about releasing the photos. But for the millions of Muslims across this world, they are on the fence about what they think about America.
Why would a moderate Muslim in Egypt or anywhere else object to seeing a mass murderer get his just desserts. Why would they object to that?
I just think that they're on the fence about the true depiction. They're on a fence about the true depiction of the United States. And look at all the freedom movements that are happening right now in the Middle East. I think that it could be a good move to not release these photos in hopes that more and more Muslim nations will see America for what it really is.
Well, we'll see if we release the photos that America's tough and America's serious and America means
business. They already
business.
know that. We killed him.
They don't actually know. They don't always know. They've gotten a very unclear message from us over the last few years, and I think it would send a very strong message.
All right, ladies, thanks very much. We appreciate it.